Hell, it's about time.
Welcome back, Commanders, Cerebrus, and Executors, to the StarCraft Lorecast, the podcast where we dive into the lore, stories, and both the interesting and the fun facts about the StarCraft universe. I am your host, Jeremy, otherwise known as General Fire, and I hope you're ready to dive back into this franchise we love. Science fiction loves to toss in tropes all kinds into its stories, no matter what. Aliens, FTL, laser guns. But one that everyone knows is that of the humble machine or robot. From the humble B-1 battle droids of Star Wars to the T-800 killing machine of Terminator, even to the mysterious and complex Geth of the Mass Effect series. These robots and machines helped to shape science fiction into what it is today. And today, we're speaking of a similar machine faction from the StarCraft universe. That's right, folks. Today we're going over the Purifiers, the sort of reincarnated warrior of the Protoss in machine form who utilize the memories and personalities of their long dead heroes in here. So I hope you're all ready to learn about this is what, our third Protoss faction now? So, well, what are the Purifiers? The Purifiers are an ancient robotic race created by the Protoss. So, the original purifiers bear the same general Protoss form, if not biology. They will operate more efficiently when in close proximity to each other, and a purifier's personality can be uploaded into an empty shell. They possess a data web that is similar to the Kala, though it does not possess the same emotional connectivity. Purifiers connected to this link can speak through different vessels. For example, one purifier can speak through another purifier's body, provided that the link is shared. Talendar, the only purifier of the revived program, or similar, if not identical, synthetic properties of the original purifiers, though he did have a quadrupedal form. So, but going over their origins. So, during the era of the Protoss Empire, the Glycast scientists were ordered by the Conclave to create the ultimate mechanical warriors as a way for them to not lose additional Protoss and whatnot. So they ordered their scientists to make something that will work and that will be great warriors for to fight with. This force would consist of approximations of some of the greatest warriors within and from Protoss history. From this came the Purifiers, automatons with decision-making capabilities that were often 99.3% accurate to the Protoss subject. The replication was patterned after. But, and this program would originally be kept within the shadows because the conclave believed that the conscious. So the program was originally kept in shadow and unified by belief that consciousness could be turned into data, thereby thereby used to preserve the thought process and decision-making ability of a former living being. The conclave moved to use this technology to build a force replicated from the greatest warriors in the universe. And they would utilize, like we stated, a data web similar to the Kala, but not exactly. And originally, I believe, from everything I've looked up, the program was kept a little bit under wraps because, depending on the Protoss, just like how humans, we don't want like our personalities and whatnot to be copied over and, you know, done with as they please. But that's not all Conclave did. The Conclave additionally did not treat the Purifiers as equal to other Protoss, rather seeing them as tools to be utilized. So, you know how it is. People create machines to do work for them. They don't treat the machines who end up looking like them as people and instead trade them as tools or slaves. Unfortunately, you see this a lot in science fiction because it's a little bit of history repeating itself, if it's my take. Just my take, though. Because seeing the Conclave as slave masters, the Purifiers ended up rebelling against their creators. Led by the Purifier reconstruction of Executor Clarorion. The resulting conflict would claim many Protoss lives, notably destroying all Protoss stationed in Lantinum. However, the Purifiers would be defeated by the greater Protoss Empire forces and they would be forced into submission. The Purifiers would be sealed within the platform of Cybros and put into stasis above the world of Endion. The Conclave would declare that the creation of any more Purifiers to be heresy. Cybros and the Purifiers within served as a symbol of Protoss achievement, but also the dangers of it if you take it too far. But as a just in case, the Conclave would save the location of Cybros. As just in case they needed to be reactivated in the direst of circumstances. But that was the original program. The second program would also occur. Something that Kerox would state, through this mission that we learned of. The Kalion Glaciers have prototype technology with successful results. It is said that these experimentations are no different than the Templar they are replications of, a byproduct of quantum predictive analytics. Or basically, the second program built off the first and tried to enhance it. So sometime prior to the Great War, a new Purifier program was designed, inspired by the technology of the original attempt. This was carried out on a facility on Glacius. The personality of Praetor Phoenix, who fell at Antioch during the Zerg invasion of Ire, was utilized as the template for the prototype of these new Purifiers. It was estimated that the replication was accurate of the original template to within the 99th percentile. Unfortunately, due to the outbreak of the Second Great War and then the following end war beginning, you didn't really see any other Purifiers of this second program. Talendar or Praetor Phoenix was the only example of this second program Purifier. So, but then you would move on to their reactivation, which you have an interesting conversation between Clarorion and Artanis. Why do you seek the Purifiers? Brothers, you were created to protect the Empire, yet we did not treat you as you deserved, as true Templar. I implore you to forgive our ancestors' mistakes, to take up your ancient charge once more, and join us as equals. So, gotta love Artanis there, always trying to reach the best in the Protoss and unite his people. So, during the war between Amon and the Dalim, Hierarch Artanis would come to Cybros to reactivate them, the Purifiers. Though also he had to deal with the presence of the Zerg on the planet below. And the only reason I believe, anybody can correct me if I'm wrong, the only reason I believe Artanis knew where Cybros was because he had all the records from the Conclave, because he was made Hierarch and he was made leader of the Dalim faction of the Protoss, which we'll go into a little bit later in another episode. So after activating the Purifiers in Cybros, the Purifiers were set to purify Endion through the vessel's weaponry, purging it due to massive Zerg infestation. And this weaponry would be Cybros' weaponry. They then agreed to fight for the Dalim after giving reassurance by Hierarch Artanis that they will be treated as equals as long as the Purifier with Phoenix's consciousness became their representative. And that's not all we know. We also know that they helped out within it. So, the Purifiers were present during the Dalim's second attempt to reclaim Ire, alongside the Tal'Darim and the Nerazim. When Amon's host body was exposed, Cybros, the Death Fleet, the Spear of Adun, and all other Dalim warships would unleash open bombardment and destroy his physical form. The Purifiers would also hold the southern entrance of the temple during the final defense of the Keystone, and were commanded by Phase Smith Karax. The Purifiers and the Dalim allies were successful in activating the Keystone and driving Amon back into the void. Additionally, you also have the co-op missions, which aren't technically canonical, but could certainly be canonical. You never know. Depends on how Blizzard wants to put it. During the End War, as the Purifiers were being reactivated, a Purifier facility would come under control of a Tal'Darim personality. One of the base's AIs, a construct named Orana, would call upon two allied commanders to aid her in purging the personality from the base, having them protect her transport. The commanders were successful in purging the facility. But, like I said, co-op missions, we don't know if they are technically canon at this point in time. This is one of the only Purifier co-op missions we know of. Additionally, you do have the Phoenix co-op commander as well to play as the Purifier faction, which they're all fun in their own way, but Additionally, when Artanis would lead the Protoss in the Void for a final strike against Amon, along with Kerrigan and Hersuri and Raynor and the Terrans, Purifier Sentinels, Colossi, and Energizers would accompany his forces in that final battle against Amon, where of course they would succeed, Kerrigan would ascend, happy days. But among the Dalim, after the End War, Purifiers would continue to research and develop new technologies and improve their old shells and armaments while repurposing many abandoned Protoss technologies. Much of this research was done out of Cybros. On Ire, Purifiers would largely keep self-isolated to their network, separate from the rest of the Dalim, beyond when they were needed to aid in reconstruction. Those times they did stray out and observe their brethren, they were met with distrust by many of their biological Protoss kin, with many conspiracy theories on the state of the Purifiers and their agenda spreading through the civilian Protoss. Though that wouldn't be all, because in an attempt to try and recreate a facsimile of the Khala that the Protoss, the Kalai, had lost when they severed their nerve cords, uh, Phase Smith Lantheris would attempt to recreate the Kala utilizing Purifier technology. Unfortunately, it really did not work too well, unfortunately. So, but the known Purifier units so that's most of the history we know about the Purifiers. It's very interesting to see this type of machine race, this machine faction of a race within StarCraft. I mean, I'd love to see more with AIs. I know, and it's probably a different topic for a different video, because we know Terrans utilize AI, and the Protoss use other types of AI, but they don't really utilize this type of AI, a personality and memory reconstruction of an individual versus, something that was just straight up coded. So, like I said, I'd love to see more stories from uh, Blizzard on in the StarCraft universe. We might hear more with the Purifiers. You never know. But going into the known types of Purifiers we have, coming from both main campaign missions and the co-op campaign missions, you have their Adepts, their Carriers, their Colossi. They do have the Conservator, which, if I remember correctly, yeah, it's a type of sentry, their type of sentries. You have the Cypros Arbiters, which are warrior. No, that's the body of Talendar or Phoenix that is utilized. You have Disruptors, Energizers, which are there's various of a different variant of sentries within the co-op missions. Instigators, which I believe, yeah, it's a version, but their variant of Stalkers. You also have their version of Immolators, Their Legionnaires are variants of Zealots deployed by Talendar. You have Megaliths, which is it's the uh yeah, the Megalith is the AI type construct that you fight when you are trying to unseal the Cybros. You have Mirages, which are their versions of Phoenixes or that aircraft. You have the Megalith, the guy I already spoke of. The Mirage, we've already spoken of. The other version of Observers, Scouts, Sentinels. The Solar Ray Dragoon is also a different body for Talendar. You have the Tempest, as well, that big artillery ship. And then you have the Warden, which is additionally a Purifier machine fought within the campaign, I believe. Yeah. So the different individuals we know of, you have Talarion, the main Purifier leader from the first program. You have Mojo, which is a Purifier AI construct who fought in the End War under Talendar and could inhabit the shell of Purifier Scouts. So he was one of the heroes that, could be something. Additionally, you have, like we said, Talendar. And then from the co-op one, you would have Alderion, a Shredder, Urana, Scipion, Danius, Garudion, Calatus, Alaria, Probius, Taldarin, Talus, the Warbringer as well. These are all either Purifier Air AI constructs or heroes that were brought back to fight in like the co-op missions and whatnot. But additionally, I'd like to talk a bit about their like main ship warship type thing and space platform of the Purifiers, Cybros. So its basic history on it, it was a command vessel which dates back to well before the Great War. Per the orders of the Conclave, purifiers were deactivated and placed on Cybros before being launched into space, only to be reactivated in the direst of circumstances. Endion was chosen as the moon, where Cybros would be kept in stasis and secured by a megalith. Kalikas scientists would continue improving the stasis grid, and the station would serve as both a symbol of scientific achievement and a reminder of the dangers of it. During the End War, it would be reactivated, and would battle the Zerg at Endion. Ultimately, the Protoss were able to successfully fend off the Zerg and awaken the machines by destroying the null circuits of war. Afterwards, the Purifiers would scour Endion from space before agreeing to join the Protoss in the conflict under the condition that they would be treated as equals, not slaves, with Talendar as their representative. After its reactivation, Cybros would become a center of research, design, and production for the Purifiers, creating new and improved weapons and armaments to aid them and their Protoss allies. The platform would join the unified Protoss forces in the second invasion of Ire. There would join its firepowers with that of Death Fleet and the Spear of Adun, destroying Amon's host body. Currently, one of the station's wings lies abandoned, and its main form of armament is the big Purifier beam that it shoots out from the bottom of it after it unfolds in an exemplary like cutscene from that actual from the actual Legacy of the Void campaign. I thought it was beautiful. Oh, a lot of people did. Some other notes to know of. The idea of robotic Protoss was as far back as the original StarCraft. During development, the Protoss were conceived as a robotic race where their different units would mimic various animals. Purifier bonuses exist for various games, including the Purifier Zealot Portrait and Purifier Adept and Colossus skins for collector's editions of StarCraft II Legacy of the Void. Heroes of the Storm additionally has a Purifier skin for Artanis and a Purifier reskin for the default skin of Probius. The Purifier's insignia is a variant of the Judicator cast decal, and a Purifier skin set and console was added in the Katowice 2018 War Chest to StarCraft 2 multiplayer. Additionally, the Purifiers will be a Protoss sub-faction in the StarCraft tabletop miniature games. I am excited to see what new units they might get. We know they'll probably get the hero unit Talendar, but who knows? We might see their different list of units from the co-op campaign within the actual um, within the miniature game. Sorry, I blanked there for a bit. So that's what we know of the Purifiers, the third faction of the Protoss that we're going over. Not a lot to them, unfortunately. Their history is kind of short. Uh, would love to see more of them. Would love to learn more about them and hear more about them. But you never know. Like I keep saying, we have BlizzCon coming up in September. I plan to cover it after it's done. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to secure tickets to it. Ugh, I thought it would have been fun to go out there just enjoy that. But like I said, I'll plan to cover it after BlizzCon is over with, once all the announcements are made and whatnot, to see what we get from StarCraft. I have, we know that they're planning to talk about hopefully a StarCraft game coming out because all the rumors are that this BlizzCon is going to be StarCraft focused. Additionally, I bet you they're probably going to talk about the miniature game as well, knowing them. But either way, I hope you have enjoyed this episode. It's a short one. I planned for it to be a short one, but come back next time, a couple days, or whenever you listen to it, because our next episode is going to be over our last known major faction within the Protoss that had an effect on the StarCraft story as a whole, and that's going to be over the Tal'Darim, or how they are referred to as the Forged. So, stay tuned. Hope to see you all out here. And as always, in Tara Adun and for ire, have a good one.